What's up, YouTube? This is Gavin from Yu-Gi-Oh! Team Enforcers bringing you my True Draco deck profile. Remember to like and subscribe to It's Your Boy on YouTube, and one of my friends, Sam from Team Samurai X1. Like and subscribe to his channel. Let's start with the monsters. Okay, so for the monsters, I run 3 Masterpiece, the True Draco Slaying King. This right here is your boss monster of the deck. Basically, if you have a spell or trap on the field, or continue to spell or trap on the field, you can just send those to the grave, tribute summon himself, and then he's unaffected by spells and traps. And the spells and traps that were already sent to the graveyard have their own effects. So the spell would pop one of your opponent's spell or traps, and the trap would pop one of your opponent's monsters. And then you could chain Masterpiece's effect and banish one and pop another card, which is pretty good. And then I run Demise, the True Draco Fighter. Only needs 1 tribute. And then, if when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can chain True Draco Fighter to bring out True King Trap card from your deck. And then it's different from which deck you play or how you play this deck. But for me, I'm maining 3 Ash Blossom Majoyous Spring just to get around any pesky decks, like a 60 card deck. Before it's any card, they draw cards, search cards, send stuff to the grave, special summon from the deck. All that is going to be negated by this girl, Ash Blossom. That finishes the monsters. Moving on to the spells. I run 3. Dragonic Diagram. Then, probably after Masterpiece, is the best card in the deck. Because Dragonic Diagram, special ability, is all True Draco and True King monsters on the field gain 300 attack defense. The first time they'd be tribute summoned by True King, the monster would be destroyed by battle. Each turn, it's not destroyed. Once per turn, you can destroy 1 other card you control in your hand or on the field, and if you do, add 1 True King or True Draco card from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good because this card you want to see it first turn. Even that's why you run Terraforming, because this is your OG card with Masterpiece. And then for our draw cards, we run 3 True Draco Heritage, which is a really, really good card because for every True Draco spell, monster, and trap that was sent to the grave this main phase, you get to draw that many cards, and then immediately after this card resolves, you can tribute summon this turn. Additional on top of your already normal summon that you've already played this turn. And then if this card is popped by opponent's card effect, you can pop one of your opponent's spell traps. And then I run 3 Disciples of the True Draco Phoenix, which is another really good card because it's basically like a pot of avarice for your monsters, or your True Draco cards, because you can target 3 True Draco cards in your graveyard and put them back in the deck, and then shuffle, and then draw 1 card. And then if this card is popped, pop your opponent's spell traps. And then for other draw cards, I run Potted Duality. Another good card for this deck because you can dig through your deck, see what card you want, and automatically bring it to your hand. And then this wouldn't be a Demise Draco deck without it. I run 3 Card Demise because obviously you can use Card Demise, dig through your deck, and you don't special summon through this deck, so it's not a big deal either. And then I run 2 terraforming. I think 2 terraforming is better than 3 because I don't really want to draw into like multiple copies of it. And then just for a tech card, I run the Monarch's Stormforth, which is pretty good. It's quick play spell card. Once per turn, this turn, if you would tribute summon a monster or monsters for a tribute summon, you can tribute 1 monster your opponent controls as if you controlled it. You can only activate this once per turn, and you cannot special summon from the extra deck. So right there, you can tribute your opponent's monster and one of your continuous spell or traps that you use this turn, and bam, you have a masterpiece on your opponent's turn. Then moving on to the traps, we run 3 True King Return, which is if this card is sent to the graveyard, pop one of your opponent's monsters. And then the first effect is you can target 1 True Draco King, or True Draco, or a True King monster in your graveyard, special summon in defense mode. For the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon, but you don't special summon this deck. And then during your opponent's main phase, after this card is resolved, using this guy over here, Dynamite Knight, you can tribute summon after this card dissolves. And then True Draco Apocalypse, same thing. If it's a popped, you can pop one of your opponent's monsters. But the only difference is you can target 1 other True Draco or True King card you control, destroy it, and if you do, attack and the attack and defense of all face-up monsters your opponent controls are halved, even if this card leaves the field. So it's a permanent attack and defense cut, which is pretty good, and it still has the same effect as True King Return. You contribute something to your opponent's turn. And then I run 3 Solemn Strike for all the special summoning decks out there. And then that moves on to the side. We don't run no extra deck. We just run a side deck. So I run my last Terraforming, 3 Domain of the Monarchs for the Domain lock with Domain of the Monarch. So effect, while you have no cards in your extra deck and you only control... You are the only player that controls the tribute summon monster. Your opponent cannot special summon any cards from the extra deck. If you tribute summon monster you control attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 800 attack during the damage calculation. Once per turn, you can reduce 1 level monster with 2 1/800 attack or defense. If you do, add in your hand by 2 until the end of the turn, which is pretty good. And then I run 3 Ignis the True Draco Warrior, which is basically he's this guy right here, who's basically like Dynamite Knight, but adds spells to your hand. And then I ran 2 the Majesty Maiden of True Draco Caster, which is her right here, which basically she lets you get your monsters to hand if you don't get a Masterpiece or Dynamite to your hand. And then for just a good card, I run probably a card that nobody else probably uses, the D-Barrier. D-Barrier is still good in this format. Link format has not touched us one bit. So D-Barrier, I'd probably say is a pretty good card, but I would not main deck it in this deck. Because you want to see those pops as quickly as possible, like against its the True King Dino deck. You do not want to see a Lagia or a Trish on your opponent's turn. So you'd use this card, and you don't use an extra deck, so it won't hurt you at all. That finishes this deck profile. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. And get your game on. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Sam from Team Samurai X1 at www.youtube.com/Team Samurai X1.